want to jump up and down.
Yeah, right on cue.
Segment 4.
Nice.
This has been
The
such
best
a
for
fun
last.
show.
Yes. This is fun.
It is. Will you come back?
Yes, of course.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll ask our viewers what they want to know more about.
Okay, yeah.
And we'll have you back because I think this is such a relevant topic.
Yeah.
And also, for those of you who are in my sister mentorship, I run a 6-month mentorship with my clients where I have guest experts come and speak. And I know that you're invited to come and speak with them.
I'm looking forward to it.
And I just think these are such amazing nuggets of information. So
very cool.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of high fives.
Yes.
Like high fives, high fives,
It's very
jazz hands.
1990s.
We're so old. Okay. All right. So the interview.
Yes.
The everything we spoke about really walks right into getting the interview, because these things that you want to know about positioning yourself on your resume, positioning yourself online, working with the recruiter, working with someone who's going to help you, put your best foot forward is for the purpose of getting an interview.
Yes, 100%.
And so you can really make or break yourself in an interview.
Oh, yeah.
I know. So let's talk
I've
about.
seen some doozies.
Okay. Do you have a story? Can you share a story?
Oh my goodness, we part of our service is we do want to sit in with our candidate on interviews, and if
That's
a candidate's super nervous, we can kind of read that body language and we'll opt out. It does two things for us as an organization. It helps us learn more about the client, and some things and technologies might get discovered and discussed that we can be like, oh, we missed this, or this candidate doesn't have it. We can go back, and we're learning too, because technology is changing all the time. But it also gives us the opportunity to be like, whoa, Lisa, that is not how you should have answered that question.
Roll it back.
Yeah, and so we sit in the background, and it's an opportunity for us to learn, and it helps us hone our interview skills, because clients really aren't asking like, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Like, those are old school. It's really more about.
So just be clear for the audience.
Yeah.
So employers are not asking those questions anymore.
I don't think
What
so.
kind of questions are they
If
asking?
they do, that's kind of interesting. I don't think that they should be asking those. I would coach my client to not ask those anymore. What they're asking is more situational, like behavioral, and how would you be in our environment. We're going to live with you for 50 hours a week, and we have these initiatives that have to be driven forward. So are you going to be able to execute based on the experience that you have? So they'll ask questions around, tell us about a project that you owned that didn't go well. Tell us about a conflict that you had in an environment. Tell us about a time when you had to do something that you might not have agreed with, that your boss told you. How did you know it? So they'll ask you very situational questions, and there's a great way to answer those. And we usually save this tip for our candidates, but I'll give it to your audience.
A secret.
So we use the STAR technique, and it was developed by a college professor in an East Coast college years ago, and it really helps you formulate your answers, because I think sometimes people start to answer and they get like down a rabbit hole, and they've not answered the question directly. And so the STAR technique is situation, task, action, result.
Situation, task, action, result.
So a client may say, tell us about a time when you had a conflict on a team. How did you handle it? What was the end result? And so you might say, oh, well, this person and I didn't agree. This was the situation on how to deliver the meeting minutes, or how to take the meeting minutes. And so I decided that this would be the task, and these are the actions that I took. And the result was that, she would take the meeting minutes every other meeting, and I would take them every other one.
I love that.
So you come up with some sort of situation that you can speak to. It does a couple things. It helps you keep very focused into the answer, and it helps them show that you have good communication skills. So if they needed to ask you a question in front of their boss or their leadership team or their stakeholders, that you could articulate an answer in a way that everyone in the room can be like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that. I think that's a great, and it gives them like, oh my gosh, I just got lost. Where am I? Let me come back.
How do I come back?
Focus on the results, which we talked about in segment 2 as well.
And the part 2 is like, what did you do? A lot of times people say, we did this at the last company and we did that, but what was your part?
Right.
It's good to show that you can be a part of a team, but you can lead a team.
Absolutely.
So you have to have a balance of those type of answers, that you can say, well, this is when I had to work with a team, and this is what we did, and this is an initiative that or a project that I owned, and this is what I did.
This is what I did.
And that shows the manager that you aren't like an egotistic maniac who's going to come in and steamroll everyone, that you can work with a team, but that you can also drive stuff.
It's so important, it's so important.
Yeah.
So we started down this rabbit hole a little bit. What are, going back on to tips, but like, what's a story of like what went horribly wrong in an interview?
Oh my goodness.
We're going to start with what not to do in an interview.
My favorite one is I was trying to coach this guy who was super nervous and super smart, like very intelligent and very smart in this technology. and he would not rate himself. So the technical, a lot of times in the technical world, they'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you with this skill or this software or this hardware?
Okay.
And what they're doing in their perfect world is they're saying, if he says 8, then I'll ask him an 8 question and then challenge him up.
Okay.
If he's saying 10,
there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. And if you don't nail it, they're going to be like, oh, he thinks he's really confident. So this particular candidate would not answer. And the guy, he's like, I don't want to mess up. Like, I don't want to give you a number. Just ask me a question. And the client kept saying, well, I need to know where to start. And he's like, well, what if I answer the question and I end up stepping on my, and he used the word for his unit in the middle of this interview, and I'm the only woman in the room. And
as in like man part?
Yes.
Oh.
So every man in the room looked at me like, there's a woman in the room. What are you talking about? But he got so nervous and he would not just answer it. So I always say rate yourself somewhere between a 6 and an 8.
Okay, that's a great idea.
That's honest. Nobody's really a 10 on a lot of things, right?
Not really.
And so, but give yourself room to grow, and you sort of look humble, and you look like, hey, all right, because your 6 and their 6 might be different too, and then answer that question, and they'll tend to go up from there. And that's technical interviews.
Okay.
But if anyone ever asks you to rate yourself, like, be honest, but be realistic.
Sure. So if you're a 10 across the board, you're probably lying.
Right.
Just like the size of your
yes,
part.
That's a good analogy. Exactly. And I was like, oh my God,
Sorry,
he did not just do that.
But he did.
Yes.
So, okay. So take a minute, and if you don't know, and also it's okay to admit that you're nervous.
Yes.
I think you don't have to show up prim and proper and perfect. Like, be honest. Sorry, this is a really important interview. I want to get this right, but can I just take a minute?
Yes.
I'm introverted.
Yes.
And I'll need a minute sometimes to answer a question. So, okay, let me think about that for a minute because I want to be thoughtful. So just be honest.
Well, it's
and
good
I think
too
they'll appreciate that.
I don't think they expect you to have all the answers. So if you don't know, you can say, you know what, I'm not sure I know the answer, though if I were working for you and you asked me that, this is how I would find the answer. This is what I would do to get you your information, whether it's Google or talk to a peer, or I'd research. Like, that too means that you wouldn't just give up, and that you're showing resourcefulness, you're showing like some skills when it comes to that too.
Right. I love that. Okay, so that's not what not to do, which is trip over your words, say something inappropriate. Be mindful of your audience.
Don't talk bad about previous employers.
Don't talk bad.
What to do?
Yeah, let's do that.
I think you need to be prepared. Like, a good recruiter, too, will send you the LinkedIn profile of everyone that's going to be in the interview.
Oh, that's great.
They'll tell you, go research the company. I mean, most of the companies you're interviewing with are publicly traded, or at least in the news, or you can find some latest thing. Who just bought them? Who sold? What's the new restaurant they opened? What are they doing?
Okay.
So that you have some information. I had one guy interview, and the lady said, well, what do you know about the Venetian? He's like, I know that some artist painted the Sistine Chapel in the lobby. And I was like, that's what you know about the Venetian?
That's tourist information.
Yes,
that's
like, try to get some more, like, be knowledgeable about the people, and always have a pen and paper. Oh, I know it's old school, but take notes, and always write STAR at the top, STAR at the top, so that'll keep you focused. And then always have good questions.
Good questions. Take notes.
Yes.
Be present.
Yes.
I always tell my clients that and it seems to settle them down. Yeah. Remember that you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. 100%. That you have power.
Yes.
And you're a great candidate. If you've gotten that far, they're saying, yes, you're a great candidate. Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Right.
But interview them so they know that you're being selective.
Yes, and that you're interested in knowing that this is where you want to hang your hat for a period of time. So absolutely. But stay away from questions in the first interview about money, benefits, or vacation. Focus on the job, what you can do, what pain point. If I took this job, what things could I take off of your desk in the first 30, 60, 90 days? What projects can I help you get across the finish line? What can I do to make you look good if I come to work for you?
Right. So those things that you just said, that's really you getting, you're really, that's the first date.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you're just talking about how you can mutually benefit one another, how you fit into the company, you're getting a feel for each other. And then the second or third interview, where do those things fit
you might
in?
then go to an HR person or go back to your recruiter and have your recruiter navigate those conversations.
Oh, interesting. You'll do that for them.
Let your recruiter do that for you.
So that's really a part of the negotiation process.
Yes.
So if you work with a good recruiter, they'll help you negotiate. And women, I know we struggle with this.
Yes.
We struggle knowing our worth.
Yes.
Yep. And we struggle with negotiation.
And asking for what we want.
and asking for what we want. So I know it sounds like as a great recruiter will support you. And I actually had a friend call me for advice, and she was positioning herself for a new position in Canada. And same thing, I helped her negotiate a higher salary.
Awesome.
Because I'm like, no, you're worth gold.
Right.
Let's get you gold.
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right,
for you.
we're out of time.
Thank you.
We did it. Get out. Just kidding.
See you next time.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're just tuning in for whatever reason to segment 4, this whole hour was about positioning yourself as a candidate for the best career possible. And Sonia's our resident expert here at Money is Sexy. Geeks are sexy. We're geeking out about finding the right job, finding the right employer, positioning yourself, and it was just an honor to have you.
It was so much fun. Thank you.
Come back.
Yeah, I will.
Cool. Okay, so if you have questions, let us know. We'll have her back. And it's so great spending this Friday afternoon with all of you. Have a great weekend. Wherever you're watching this, just know Money's Sexy. It's great to talk about it, and I can't wait to see you back next month in March. I'm Lisa Chastain, your host, Sonia Pedowick, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.